Colonel Strat, the strategy extraordinaire, and I'm back at it with a tactics video. So for today, I have a modified version of the Chevron formation that I like to call Zig-Zag. So, a common formation that you have is the Chevron, which you have two, you take two infantry units and you connect them together to form a chevron, and then you leave a space in here, and then you do the same thing over here. But for this one, and you can do it two ways, and I'll show you both ways. For this one, I have actually left a gap here as well as a small gap there, allowing my all of my missile forces, which are stationed one side, to be able to overlap insanely. And the amount of overlap you have causes such an amazing array of fire that the kill zones are insane, and you will see this in this first one. So this one is where it's going inside. Now this one's mostly used for when you're going against like heavily smashing infantry, like monstrous infantry. So it's not as effective against blob infantry like this, but it does do its work against monstrous infantry, and it still does pretty well against blob infantry, especially if you can get a choke point. Choke points are the best place to have these types of formations, because you don't have to worry about enemy cavalry coming from the side, to mess up your formations or get your guys in the back. And as you'll see, it's going to get really tough for them to push through. And somehow the AI just does not send a unit straight through. Now this won't work on a multiplayer battle, I don't think, because you could, just line up a troop single file and go right through to reach the missiles. But against the AI, it works every time, because they'll just blob their units and try to go here, and they'll get stuck on our melee units here, and then our missile units will fire into each rank, each side, pretty much just a volley fire right at them. It's really effective tactic that I use a lot, especially when I get choke point battle and I have gunpowder infantry, because gunpowder infantry have the line of sight that they need to have line of sight to the target. See how they have it right now? But archer infantry can fire up and over, but gunpowder infantry can't. But it's more powerful, because you're going to be able to punch through a lot of thick armor. Alright, so they're coming on us now. We're adjusting this to close this gap here, open this gap wider. And as you see, if you look right down the sights here, they have a clear line of sight right to that line collapsing there. And these guys have a clear line of sight to these guys. For some reason they didn't take too many units over here, but they're starting to. And now we're starting to really fire onto them. As you notice, we're firing a lot more frequently than normal. Because normally, when you have like a straight line, you can't fire right over. Your gunpowder guys are going to be, your gunpowder guys are going to be stuck, not firing. Whereas if you have it like this, they're going to be firing right into the ranks, not hitting your units, because they don't want to hit their own units, so they don't want to fire directly into enemy ranks if your units are in close combat with them. But here, they're able to do it no problem. And even if you give attack orders, they won't like chase in or try to find a different angle, because the angle is right there. So even if the AI has to adjust, it'll still find the angle it needs to. And as you can see, it's doing the Lord's work right now. It is just tearing them up. And they'll program over here in the middle, doing his part, helping out. And these are evenly matched forces, because they could theoretically break through if they weren't getting chomped on by our missile troops in the back. They would probably make an opening and flank us around. But again, we are dwarves, so we probably would outlast them. But this can work even for Imperials or any type of defensive faction will do well with this tactic. Imperials, dwarves, chaos dwarves, for a little bit. and Cathay does really, really well with this. Even though Cathay does have their crossbowmen, so they don't really have to do this, their Iron Hail gunners will benefit from this tactic a lot. And already, the enemy is just, it's been only not even 5 minutes, and they're already half strength. They've only taken only a select few of our guys, because we're just able to pummel them so much. And there's also a little bit of an incline behind here, so they're able to fire up and over a little bit. And that's one thing you'll find with these choke point battles. If you get them, you'll have a lot of elevation to use as well. So a couple tactics are kind of meshing together here. Get him, go over him. He's in the duel with the Great Shaman. And it's pretty much, sound who's going to win this. Alright, so as you've seen, just to go over again, they break upon here, and then they try to blob, and while they're doing that, these guys here are firing. If any units try to go around here to flank, they'll get caught on these guys, blob up, these guys will fire on them, and again, they're blobbing here, they're getting shot at, and if they try to do that on this other side, they're going to get shot, so you're covering all angles, and then, because of the overarching fields of fire, you're able to, really, get it locked in, because they're just able to arc their fields of fire so much. But that's pretty much how the inverted and the inverted one goes, and it's a very powerful tactic, and you can draw the enemy in, blob them up, and then you have to make sure you have your gun line right there on each side to just wipe them out from the flank, and it works every time. So now I'm going to show you the opposite way, the outverted, and we'll see how well we do with that one. Alright, and here we are with the outverted chevron, or zigzag I like to call it. So this one also has the added benefit of elevation. Like I said, a lot of these choke point battles have elevation on both sides. And if the enemy has a melee only force, like you're facing like orcs that have very little ranged or chaos, then you can make that to your advantage by placing both a chevron formation to get them trapped, and then you can have you have your missile line up on a hill to fire over your chevrons and through the corridors again. Now this one's more for attacking, shooting them before, and if it were on a flat plane, we would have to move these guys, position them a little bit differently. Like we'd have to put him right here, and we probably have to put him probably right here, and then him over here, and then him over here. And we might even have to put them both, and we'd also have to free up this area too, put one couple right here as well, so that they could fire into the ranks. But since we have a elevation, we can do without that. So we'll still be able to have much more coverage than before, because we're relying on elevation, as well as the chevron is mostly just to bog them down, to get them caught so that they can't get around. Because even if we had a straight line, we still would have the possibility of not that many guns firing into them. But since we have these gaps, the guns are the orcs are going to blob up, and they're going to start trickling back here within the blobs, and they're going to be able to snipe them from the back. All right. So let's get them rolled in, and we'll show you what this outverted zigzag formation does. I think I did move. Yep, I'm moving them up. That way we can cover more ground and really flex our advantage of the high ground here. You got to make sure you adapt. That's another really good thing about being a good commander in this game, is to adapt and use all these tactics that I've showed you in this tactics guides to just use them on the fly. I know it takes a little while, but after you've been able to identify, there's some good high ground here. That's a choke point. It's a choke point battle. Let's try this tactic here, or we'll try this tactic here. That's what you have to do to become a master tactician in this game. But once you become that, or once you execute them, it feels so satisfying. Alrighty, they're coming into range now. And it's open fire. So we're able to just fire right over, get some early hits on before they even come in. And then we'll funnel them down here as well, and they'll be trapped. Attacked on both sides if they funnel down there, but a couple of them don't. They do attack the flanks, but again, we have that opening here, so we're able to shoot both in that opening and over as well. Because again, they're going to try to flank us, and they're getting stuck on the flanks. So we're able to shoot right into that hole. And get them, pitch them right out there. Gorgrim's going in. And see, they've blobbed because they've hit them right here, and now they blob back here. So the elevation's being able to use to our advantage, so we're able to hit them in the back as well from the blobs. Because they haven't been able to punch through because we have such a thin line. So that's a superior tactic to use. Yeah, we're even able to snipe them right here in the front here because of our elevation. But funneling them into this massive blob is going to be really good for artillery as well. With a well-placed artillery shell right here, blob's gone. So these formations work really good at blobbing enemies so that you can use your superior firepower to just destroy them. Because these two big blobs right here, they'd be done. And it wouldn't really do that much against your forces either. Because, you're not the ones blob. And we've already done more damage to them than they've done to us. We've only lost a couple guys. We lost quite a bit. One unit usually attacks, and then the other ones kind of huddle behind to attack. And then if a couple units are attacking here, there's still a couple more that are blobbed behind trying to attack, and they're getting stuck in this big blob here. So, blobbing is a very effective tactic to deal with melee hordes with your missiles. And as you can see, we're just peppering them in. We're just, taking them out one by one, and it's a bloodbath. We've only lost a few guys. In fact, it has not changed since, because now they're retreating. And yeah, so it was a bloodbath, and it was no contest. So that's the zigzag formation. It's a modified version of the Chevron, but you can call it, Chevron, zigzag, whatever you want. But the fact of the matter is that it's going to be very effective for drawing out melee hordes like this, blobbing them up, make them susceptible to your missile fire. Couple it with some elevation, you're going to be able to destroy, my friend. So that does it for the tactics today. So I really enjoy you guys tuning in to me, and I'm going to try my best to keep producing more content for you guys, and to do the best I can. So I hope that you enjoyed this tactic, and that you go out and use this tactic to your advantage and just decimate any type of army that comes towards you. And without further ado, keep it strategic, strat fans, and relax.